Chapter 3: The Siege of the Coast. The Atlantic Ocean was a restless, churning black void. 3 miles off the coast of Palm Beach, beneath the whitecaps, a silent shape glided through the dark water. It was the Leviathan, a stealth submersible commissioned by the Atlantic Union's Peacekeeping Corps. Inside, the air smelled of ozone and recycled nitrogen. Commander Richter watched the tactical display. He was a specialist from the Zurich precinct, a man who viewed nationalism as a mental illness and borders as administrative errors. His orders were precise: secure the asset, extract him to The Hague. Target is static, the pilot reported, his voice filtered through a haptic throat mic. Mar-a-Lago compound. Thermal signatures indicate reinforced security. Secret Service standard rotation, plus something else. Richter zoomed in on the holographic map. The estate was glowing with heat signatures, but there were colder, darker patches moving in the perimeter. Mercenaries? Richter asked. Negative, the pilot said. Movement patterns suggest heavy infantry. United States Marines. Richter frowned. The presence of Marines meant the timeline had accelerated. It meant this wasn't an arrest anymore. It was an invasion. Deploy the Vespas, Richter ordered. I want eyes in the hallways before we get our boots wet. Inside the estate, the mood was a strange cocktail of luxury and dread. The chandeliers in the grand ballroom were dimmed, casting long, fractured shadows across the gold-leafed walls. The floor-to-ceiling windows, usually offering a view of the manicured lawns and the sea, were covered by heavy glass shutters. Don sat at the head of a long mahogany table. He wore a navy suit and a long red tie, looking exactly as he did on the news feeds, though the lines around his eyes were deeper tonight. He wasn't looking at the tactical maps spread out before him. He was looking at his phone, scrolling through the comments on a cached version of Tucker's broadcast. They love the message, Don said, gesturing with the phone. The numbers are huge, the biggest we've ever seen. The people are ready. Standing by the door, General Mattis didn't look at the phone. He was watching the security feeds on a portable command station set up by his aide. The people are ready, Mr. President, Mattis said, using the title the Union had stripped away 3 years ago. But the people aren't the ones in the Zodiac boats currently scrubbing their heat signatures 3 miles out. Don looked up. You think they'll try it? Here? It's a historic landmark. They don't care about history, Mattis said, his voice grating like sandpaper. They care about compliance. You are the symbol of non-compliance. If they take you, the movement dies. Mattis walked to the table. He placed a heavy, matte black pistol on the mahogany surface, right next to a diet soda. If they breach the panic room, Mattis said quietly, you know what to do. You do not let them put you in handcuffs on live stream. Don stared at the gun. For a second, the bravado flickered, replaced by a cold realization of the stakes. Then, he straightened his jacket. I built this place to withstand a hurricane, Don said, pushing the gun slightly away. Let's see if it can withstand a few bureaucrats. Sir, a tech operator shouted from the corner. We have a breach. Perimeter sensors are detecting micro-drones, hundreds of them. Outside, the humid Florida night came alive with a sound like a million angry bees. The Vespas were the size of hummingbirds, clad in chrome, equipped with facial recognition optics and micro-shaped charges. They swarmed over the seawall, moving in a synchronized cloud. On the lawn, a squad of Marines in full tactical gear waited. They didn't fire their rifles. Bullets were useless against a swarm. Engage the microwave emitters, the squad leader shouted. Mounted on tripods around the garden were dish-shaped devices that looked like satellite receivers. With a hum that was felt in the teeth rather than heard, the emitters pulsed. The effect was instant. The front wave of the drone swarm simply dropped out of the sky, their circuits fried, falling onto the perfectly cut grass like hail. But there were too many. The second wave adjusted, splitting into smaller clusters to flank the emitters. They're adapting, the squad leader yelled. Hard cover, move. One of the drones dove, slamming into the shoulder of a Marine. The micro-charge detonated a small, sharp crack. It wasn't enough to kill through the body armor, but the force knocked the man down. Another drone detonated against a window shutter, then another. They were looking for a way in. They are pinging the structural integrity, Mattis said over the comms channel. They aren't trying to kill you yet. They're stripping the armor. From the ocean, the water broke. 4 sleek, black assault boats surged onto the beach, their engines roaring. Ramps dropped, and the Union assault team poured out. They looked like knights of the future. Their armor was slate gray, faceless, with glowing blue visors. They moved with terrifying speed, assisted by hydraulic exoskeletons' leg braces. "Contact front!" the Marine squad leader screamed. The gardens of Mar-a-Lago erupted. The Union troops fired suppression rounds, smart bullets that tracked heat sources. The Marines returned fire with heavy-caliber automatic weapons. Tracers tore through the palm trees, setting the fronds on fire. The smell of burning vegetation mixed with the acrid scent of propellant. Richter led the charge from the beach. His HUD, heads-up display, painted targets in red outlines. He saw the Marines holding the terrace. "Flash out!" Richter commanded. His team launched a volley of canisters. They didn't explode with light. They exploded with sound, a sonic pulse, designed to incapacitate the inner ear. On the terrace, 3 Marines collapsed, clutching their helmets, disoriented and retching. "Breach the main doors," Richter ordered. "We have the hallway in sight." Inside the command room, the sound of the battle was a dull, rhythmic thumping against the reinforced walls. "They are on the terrace," Mattis said. He checked his tablet. They neutralized the outer detail. Don stood up. He walked to the wall, where an old oil painting of himself hung. He pressed the frame. A panel slid open, revealing a master control switch for the estate's private power grid. "You told me to upgrade the security last year," Don said. "I didn't just add cameras." "What is that?" Mattis asked, eyeing the switch. "It's the Tesla Coil Protocol," Don said. "Elon sent it over. It electrifies the exterior cladding of the building. High voltage, low amperage. It won't kill them, but it will hurt." "Sir," Mattis warned, "we have our own men out there." "They know to stay off the walls," Don said. "Do it." He flipped the switch. On the terrace, Richter reached out to place a breaching charge on the heavy oak doors. His gloved hand brushed the brass handle. Snap! A blue arc of electricity, thick as a rope, jumped from the door to Richter's armor. The surge overloaded his exoskeleton. His suit locked up instantly, freezing him in place like a statue. Around him, 3 other Union soldiers were thrown backward, their systems crashing, smoke pouring from their joints. The building itself seemed to hum with blue energy, a fortress of lightning. "System failure," Richter's suit voice droned. "Rebooting. 2 minutes. Now," Mattis yelled into his radio. "Counter. Attack." From the side entrances, the remaining Marines surged out. They wore rubber-insulated gear. They moved through the stunned and rebooting Union soldiers, disarming them with brutal efficiency. It was chaotic. It was violent. A Union soldier, regaining motor control, tried to raise his weapon, but a Marine tackled him, driving him into the stone patio. It was over in 60 seconds. The high-tech advantage of the Union had been nullified by brute force and a massive electrical surprise. Richter, still frozen in his locked suit, watched helplessly as General Mattis stepped out onto the terrace. The general didn't have a weapon drawn. He walked up to the paralyzed Union commander and tapped on his glass visor. "You're on American soil, son," Mattis said, "and you didn't bring enough batteries." Back in the command room, the adrenaline was fading, leaving a cold silence. Don poured himself a diet soda, his hand shaking ever so slightly. "We got them," Don said. "We embarrassed them." Mattis didn't celebrate. He was looking at the captured feed from one of the Union helmets. "This wasn't an invasion force," Mattis said grimly. "It was a probe. They sent 20 men to test our reaction time, to see what tech we were hiding." "We won," Don insisted. "We revealed our hand," Mattis corrected. "Now they know about the coils. They know about the microwave emitters. Next time, they won't send men. They'll send a kinetic rod from orbit and flatten this entire zip code." Mattis turned to the president. "We have to move," the general said. "Tonight, the compound is compromised. The symbolism of Mar-a-Lago served its purpose. Now we need a bunker." Don looked around the room, at the gold molding, the velvet chairs, the life he had built. He knew Mattis was right. The Union would not tolerate this humiliation. They would escalate. "Where are we going?" Don asked. "Cheyenne Mountain," Mattis said. "We have to open the old NORAD blast doors. It's the only place on the continent that can survive what they are going to throw at us next." Don nodded. He picked up the matte black pistol Mattis had left on the table. He checked the weight of it, then slid it into his jacket pocket. "Okay," Don said. "Let's go. But I want the cameras rolling when we leave. I want them to see us walking out, not running." As they exited the room, the storm outside broke. Rain lashed against the electrified walls, sizzling and popping as it hit the charged stone. The siege was over, but the war for the soul of the nation had just begun.